Okay, well, I see a good amount of people on here today. Appreciate you guys being here. If you are able to turn on your cameras, we would love to see it. It's a lot more fun for us to talk to people than blank screens. But if you are in the field, we totally get it. We appreciate you tuning in whatever capacity you can. But we will get going here in just a couple moments. I see some new faces. Just want to remind everybody how these calls work. What we're going to do is we're going to open it up for wins. So what good things are happening in the business, whether it's I hired this new person, collections, revenue, whatever it is, what wins are we having? And then we're going to go into the open Q&A. No right or wrong here, no wrong questions, no silly questions. It's just what's going on in the business. What are you struggling with? What do you want advice on? Most powerful hour of the week, because you got us and you've got tons of clients who have been where you are or are where you are. So just great place to bring any questions that you have. So let's go ahead and get into it. What wins? What good's happening this week? We wrapped up the first month of 2025. Did anybody have a busier winter than what they've had in the past? Busier month?
I got a couple wins.
Tell us, Jordan.
Now for the fourth month in a row, we are over 20%. I think we actually did over 30% on our profit margin last month. I think we got a few expenses to go through. We're sitting at like 35, but I think it'll be closer to 30 once we finish those. And then the other thing is, since we switched to the performance-based pay, we're on our third week in a row where my lead tech was doing like 2,500 to 3,500 a week. Now he's doing over 7 a week for his third week in a row already. So loving it.
That's awesome.
Huge. Love to hear it, Jordan. What other wins are happening today?
I would like to add, and happy customers too. Like we're not having any issues there. So that's a big important piece of that.
Yes, call back.
I've been having a lot of people ask me about in our meetings these past 2 weeks since we've been talking about merit-based pay more consistently. A lot of people are asking me about it. And that's one of the main concerns is do you lose quality? Do you start getting people that are selling what people don't need, that sort of thing? And so definitely appreciate you adding that caveat because that is true. We see it kind of self-regulate to an extent.
It's all in how we train.
Build a culture. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. What other wins are going on? Good things happening. Another Jordan Davis, what's going on? Tell us what's happening.
Hey guys. So this is kind of a win on my side. I love mentorship. I love being able to pour into people, especially in the business that we do. We operate in within new builds, construction, development. We had a younger guy reach out to us who's starting his own business and wanted to sit down and had a good conversation with him. And he was just curious about how to build a company and how we got to where we've gotten so far. And I've got to pour into his life for like about a half hour there, just having a good time. And I said, well, who do you have that currently is like a mentor for you? Do you have anyone in your life speaking into you or helping you out? And he looks at me and says, well, you're one of them. And I laughed and I thought, you know what, that's awesome. Because that's dear to my heart as well. Part of our business is giving back to the community and helping younger guys, mentor them and help them overcome what we've gone through without having them to suffer. So that was a huge win. I know it's not a profit win, but in the long run, it can be, absolutely. But as of right now, I get hyped on stuff like that. And I get pumped when I see other guys motivated and encouraged.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. The wins we want to hear are not just profit related. That's a huge win in itself because it speaks to a lot of things. One, your character, but two, success you've seen so far that someone says, hey, what are you doing? Can I do something like that? That's what we're all about here. That's awesome. All right. I saw Lance and someone else. I don't know where the other person went, but Lance, what you got?
I think Michael raised his hand first.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure this out.
It's a win. Thank you for being here, Michael.
Hey, yes, sir.
So was it last Thursday? I went to a pro event at one of our retail partners, and filled out a raffle while I was there because we had a booth and we were like doing some things. Dude, I won the raffle grand prize. Went home with $10,000. That's a freaking win, everybody. All right.
Oh my God.
Awesome. Those things are real. Who would have
Yeah.
thought?
And I won. Everybody thought it was illegitimate. Like it was rigged or something.
That is awesome, man.
It's awesome. So that was my win.
Did you crumple your paper up and throw it in there and try to get it to stand out?
No, I'm gonna frame it. I'm gonna get a tattoo of it on my forehead.
That is huge. Love it. See a couple more hands raised. Another Jordan with JS Russell Electricians Near Me. What's happening?
Hey, good morning, guys. We had a guy, I think it was last October or November, and he did like a week's with me, just kind of under the table. He was just moved here from Colorado to Omaha, and he was kind of on the fence, decided he wanted to take a different job at like a cargill plant. And I told him, okay, just kind of left the door open with it, and he's reached back out to me and now he wants to come back. And it kind of works out in perfect timing because I've got another guy that works for me who's having some health problems, and it looks like he's not going to be with us for very much longer. So it's like perfect timing that he can just slide back in there. So that was really nice to hear back from him. I'm glad that we kind of like left the open communication between the two of us,
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that speaks a lot to the culture.
Mhm.
And I mean, of course, you left the door open in that instance, but then yeah, the culture. Someone's not going to come back to a place they truly hated, but he got to experience the grass is not quite greener on the other side, and now he's back.
Yeah. That's huge. What other wins we got going on today? Hector, if you want to unmute for us, good to see you here. Tell us what's happening.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So just on Monday, I just hired a supervisor. It was my first supervisor ever. And man, it feels like a huge win already. One thing that I was dealing with, so I have a remodeling business in Houston. And one thing I was dealing with was that, always having to take tools, materials to the job site, speaking to homeowners, quality control. It's just a lot. And then on top of that, doing sales and estimating. Well, now that I have a field supervisor, these past 4 days, I could just feel the relief. Like I was able to stay in the office. Yesterday, I turned in 4 estimates in one morning, which it usually takes me like a full week to turn in 4 estimates. So, I just felt like a win already. I just felt the relief, and I just want to share that with y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels good.
Man, I can't tell you how many times, it pains me to hear when guys talk about running materials, our business owners talking about running materials to job sites and doing all that stuff that's in the field, because it takes you away. It takes you away from your primary responsibility, and your time costs 3 or 5 or 10 times as much as the time that you would pay somebody to do that role instead. So, man, I'm super stoked for you, Hector. That's awesome, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Bryce.
What you got, Jordan?
I was gonna say, when it comes to like material management, we use a local courier called Dependable Delivery, because oftentimes it's cheaper to pay them to go pick something up and drop it off for me than it is for me to step away or to have one of my guys pull off a job and do it. So it's not every day, but we'll go in different little spurts, especially when we're really busy. That's probably when I use them the most. But they've been a phenomenal resource for us. So finding a courier you can set up an account with and just call, say, hey, I got a single pickup and drop off, give them the pickup and drop off and instructions. Huge, been a huge help for us.
Wow.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a great tip. What's the name of the one you used, Jordan, that you said?
So we're in Nashville, and it's called Dependable Delivery is the name of the company.
Cool.
I don't know if they're a local, courier, or
Right.
if they're like a franchise, but it's funny, I've used them for like several years, and literally just the other day I drove by their office and I was like, oh, that's where that's where they're at.
Nice. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Jordan. Anybody else? Any other wins you want to put out there from this last week, starting that positive tone trajectory? All right. We'll take that and transition here into the later portion of the call. So we really want to keep this opportunity open for any sort of questions that come up that you have throughout the week, or just long-term questions as well. Use the resource of the coaches here, the other people here, to ask the stuff that you've just thought about or that's been scratching your brain for a long time, or even just this week, doing it more intensely. But what questions do you have about business, about stuff that's going on currently? Use the resource. Go ahead and open up for questions here.
Wow. No issues. Everybody is running perfect businesses, not stressed at all. Love it. Okay, now I'm seeing some hands. Okay, Scott, what's going on?
Well, I've been
Uh-oh. Did we lose audio?
I think
Tried-
your mic is cutting in and out, Scott.
I got somebody trying to cut it. Try to get them to stop on that. All right, how about that?
We can hear you better now.
So, okay. Always trying to reach out, try to build our customer base and stuff. And I'm just wondering if anyone else has gotten involved and has done any like home shows or trade shows. And if so, strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Scott is a service company. So I know a lot of my remodelers do home shows. I'm curious if any, service people, so electricians, plumbers, HVAC, even maybe some roofers. Has anybody had experience with home shows, and what has your experience been like? Anybody here?
I've tried a home show, but it was a long time ago, and I steered away from it. I think I did a couple of them, and then over time, I didn't reap any benefit from them. Most of the people I received was tire kickers, but it was a different time. My sales techniques were different. I think each thing like that has a way of making good return on it. I didn't find it helpful for my side.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lance.
I was gonna say I'm not sure what kind of service you're in, but something I've noticed that actually turned out to be really fruitful was partnering with another company that was like cohesive with us. Maybe not someone who did what we did, but needed our services. For instance, we would see like we used to primarily just do flooring, and so I called around and found a company that did restoration, like after like disaster restoration. And so we would just be like, hey, if you need somebody, if you need somebody to do floors or have a repair, or we would also had partnered with like plumbers Plumbers, needed like drywall repairs after they did things or flooring repairs after they did things, and they would end up referring us a lot. And so those actually ended up to be like really like fruitful partnerships. So sometimes your advertising can come from, like similar businesses in your industry that maybe need your services and just don't mind referring you.
Yeah.
We're an electric and plumbing company, and our thoughts was to try to promote, say, tankless water heaters, generators, outdoor lighting, stuff like that, and maybe do a giveaway. Try to build contacts and potentials. Not really land any sales or make any sales during that time. That's not really the goal, but it's really just to try to build a customer base and people we can reach out to.
Yep. I think that's a good perspective to have on that. Conrad, were you going to jump in there?
I used to work in a lot of these trade shows when I worked for a chiropractic outlet, and definitely talked to the guys that were tradesmen and different contractors. But I saw that if you do have like a niche product that stands out a little bit and is different, then you can put together. Not that you need it, but that's kind of what I saw was something particularly rare or some kind of niche product that they were pushing. Which if you have like tankless water heaters, that could be it, or something else, just to start the conversation at the show.
Cool. Yeah, I think what your attitude is going into it, Scott, is really, really important, or your expectation rather, of not trying to make a sale necessarily right then and there, but like Lance was suggesting, making partnerships, or like you talked about, building up that customer list. So, I mean, Lance just talked about winning that raffle for 10,000. You get people's contact info with things like that. People want to win something or something like that. You can get contact info that's not just the email list that I think you can oftentimes buy when you buy in to do a trade show. They'll say, hey, do you want 5,000 contacts as well? It's better to get the ones that you have people directly sign up for. Jim, were you having a suggestion on this, or a question you had?
No, I wanted to add into it because that was one of the questions I was going to ask. I don't know if anybody belongs to BNI. I don't know if you guys have that out there, or Am Spirit. I don't know if that's something my wife belongs to it for one of our other companies, and I ended up going to a meeting on Wednesday and I went to a meeting on Tuesday. But I also wanted to give you we own a home inspection company. That's one of our sister companies. And the home inspection company for your business, I'm a plumber by trade. So I did own a plumbing company. And all I did was go to inspection companies. Guess where one of the biggest things that comes on an inspection report? Water heaters. All that stuff comes up nonstop. Make a friend with the owner of a home inspection company, you'll print money. You'll literally print money because water heaters are needed. I mean, literally all the time. The next place would be hooking up with a contractor. So on my board, I don't install furnaces, water heaters, air conditioners. We sub it all out. I have relationships with the guys. The only thing they have to have is a COI. So I have guys come here all the time. Hey, I want to partner up with you. And if their price matches our vision and what we're doing, then it works out. For us as general contractors, I'm partnered up with tile companies that come to us and want us to install their tile. They call us up. Hey, listen, I have a tile job, and we buy at a discounted rate, so the spread is ours. Realtors and designers. So we have designers that we partnered up with that do designing for our customers, and we partner up with them. They look good. In fact, they see that we're doing a great job. They give us more jobs. So I mean, there's just a vast network of getting these leads, especially what you're doing. I mean, building a brand. I think is really easy with home inspections. I don't know how big it is in your area. I mean, we're in Chicago. Our inspection company does a couple thousand inspections a year. So, I mean, we do the repair pricing for those clients. and we price that stuff out. But if you came in and you met with, that's like the funnel all the way at the bottom versus talking to a real estate agent or a broker. They may do 5 deals, 10 deals. If they're really good, maybe 20, 30. But if you're dealing with a home inspection company, you're getting everything.
Hey, Jim, good to see you, buddy. Can I ask you one more question about that?
Yes, sir.
If you were to go back to when you were like primarily doing plumbing, and you said you reached out to a bunch of home inspection companies, and it sounded like you got a lot of referrals from them. Is that right?
Yeah, so I own an inspection company already.
Right.
So yeah, but what I did is we're the biggest in Illinois. So we have the biggest contacts because I fostered that 20 years ago. So my wife runs that company. But saying what you're saying, when I started, it sucks.
Right.
It's like anything we're doing. But yeah, go ahead. Go ask your question.
Well, no, I kind of want you to go into that because like before your own home inspection company, when you were reaching out to home inspection companies as a plumber, you're saying it sucks. You're absolutely right, but you did it and it really worked for you. I imagine you got really good jobs from it. You know, water heaters we're talking about. That's
Piping
one of the
jobs.
marine pipes, all
Yep.
that. So, you know, a lot of people I find are really hesitant to want to do that type of reach out. But I'm curious if you can talk about just what you did and what results it got for you when you were willing to do that thing that you just said sucks, but led to something.
So I'm very comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't think anybody does, but I just like, I'm walking in fire, so I don't care. Personally, I'm just going to get through it, and I know that there's going to be something on the other side. Joining this company has been incredibly uncomfortable. I've been on pins and needles for 3 weeks because I'm super aggressive and I want to fix what I broke and what I'm not doing right. So saying this, literally, I would just show up as the inspection company. I would cold call 50 real estate offices a day, and I would go with my brochures and all my pens and my nail files, because mainly women, and tape measures that look like a house, and I would bring them in and, hey, would you put my brochure holder up? And there'd be times they put them in the garbage can right in front of me. I'd reach in the garbage can, take it out, and walk out, and I would dust it off and go to the next one and do that shit again, because it sucked. I went on Sundays, I'd go to open houses and interview, walk in and talk to people. Hey, listen, I'm a home inspector. I had no business, but I acted like I did. And walking, you just have to have for me, I have to have the confidence. I started this company, and it's been a mess. And because of Redmond and Get Books, they're helping me fix my nonsense. So I'm uncomfortable with all this shit. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm super uncomfortable, but I'm just making peace with it. I dealt with Alyssa yesterday. She's like, you're a mess. And she didn't tell me that. But
yeah, there's no way Alyssa told you that, but she may have been thinking it a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
She's super sweet. And then I go to these meetings. What I do is I'm good at speaking. So I go to these meetings. I'm going to a mixer tonight that's part of this AM Spirit. And I went to another one, and I don't know anybody. As soon as I walk in, I just force myself, go shake this guy's hand, tell him who you are. Hey, how are you? Find out something about them so you can interact. But I'd say calling inspection companies is the ringer. It is in your industry, for anybody that's an electrician, plumber. So I'm an ex-inspector. I've done 25,000 inspections personally myself. Wow. And why I started this company is because they all suck. Nobody would come in and they would make appointments with clients to paint a place or do a kitchen, do a bath. Well, you know what? Listen, I give you a better price and I'm interested in doing it for you. But a lot of these guys would miss their appointment. Obviously, customers are rough because, they want cheap a lot of times, or affordable. I would rather use that term. But being open to being uncomfortable and dealing with people, it's probably the biggest thing I think all of us have, myself included. But I just forced myself to put myself out there and be open to trying to meet new people. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the people want to do business with you, sometimes they don't. But the biggest thing I could take away with it is that you tried. You already won because you tried. I mean, coming here, it's the biggest win. That's why I never say I didn't win. Every day I get up and do another thing that my coach has told me I have to do, and I got to get it done. I have adversity that hits me. and I just pivot right out of that position and go to the next one. And then I try that. And if that shits the bed, then I go do it again. I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah.
nobody's here by accident. You don't want to work for
Right.
somebody. You want to own your own stuff. So guess what? Put your big boy pants on and go do it. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
But
And by the way, I did not rehearse this with Jim at all to let everyone know. In fact, I didn't even know what he was about to say, but I could tell that he had this experience that I wanted to open up a little bit more because you know, like it is uncomfortable. I started my career, man. I got a degree in philosophy, which means that I graduated college and just started making cold calls, man. That is all I knew how to do. You know, I could talk to you about Friedrich Nietzsche, but I didn't have any good skills that actually were of value. So I made cold calls, and I hated that. It was the worst. But what was more uncomfortable was living paycheck to paycheck. What's more uncomfortable is having to call your credit card company and negotiate new terms because you can't hit your bill because of a cash flow issue. What's more uncomfortable is having to think about, am I going to have to shut down my doors, right? What am I going to tell my family? What am I going to tell my kids? So it's uncomfortable, but there's a trade-off there. And a lot of times, you know, especially earlier on in a business's growth journey, it can take some time for even the stuff that we do to really begin humming and making, you know, a big impact. And it's never going to be easy, but I think the thought that you know just came to me that Jim was sharing was, hey, are you willing to do that uncomfortable thing that is absolutely going to lead you to a better result? And I don't know what that is for everybody today. You know, it may be thinking about, hey, how could I build more referrals, right? It may be doing, we call it the Dream 100 system. It was developed by this guy named Chet Holmes, who was this incredible consultant in the 90s. And he unfortunately died in the early 2000s when he was 50. But all that to say is that it requires that reach out. It requires that willingness to hand someone something and give it your best effort, and they throw it away or throw it back in your face, and you're having to pick yourself up, you know, dust yourself off and go on to the next one. But the willingness to embrace the discomfort is where that growth really is. And so, Jim, this is totally aside. I don't typically get too motivational, but there was a really good principle in what you were sharing in your story that I just wanted to hone in on a little bit more. So I appreciate you sharing that, man.
just quickly, I'll give you guys, I don't know if you've ever read it, the Little Red Book of Sales. That's like the holy grail that I literally read when I was doing this. I'm a lughead. I'm just a gym rat and I don't know anything, but I read that damn book. I forced myself to read books. I got a homework assignment for Profit First, read the damn thing in like 2 days because
That's awesome.
I got to get through it and I got to take it in. And so I could do the things that need to be done. So everybody here, including myself, I could build, I'm a great visionary, horrible business guy. So I can't put shit together for nothing. That's why I'm here. And, you know, I've done 200 calls a day, cold calls, and because I owned a CPL trucking company, and same crap. I used to not want to be on the phone. I just forced myself. And so now I'm going through the leads because of my coach and because of house I'm partnered up with. And they're like, you have to clear out 296 leads because I didn't foster them right. So cold calling, a triple touch. You know, I'm doing things that I'm not comfortable with, but everybody here is amazing. That's why you're here. So super easy to do this.
Yeah. Jim, have you ever in your life given like a motivational talk before? I can't tell. No,
So I have a long story. So I'm an ex-athlete. Yes, I've done it and helped.
Dude, you told me you weren't a sports guy when we first met. Come on. And then you tell me you're a Packers fan. Now you're telling me you're an ex-athlete. Like, what's the deal, man?
Yeah. So
by the way, Joe Claire, good to see you this morning, man. Really glad that you're here. Joe was with with Jim and I for our onboarding new client based out of Wisconsin. Not a Packer fan, based in Wisconsin, doesn't like the Packers. Which, hey, I don't know what living in Wisconsin is like, but I'm sure there's a lot of green and gold all in your face.
Yeah. Steelers fan.
Yeah, that's right, Steelers. Okay, well, I want to open it back up for any additional questions, comments. Jordan.
So we're at that point right now where I'm like looking forward to the work we have bid out right now. We have a number of like large remodel projects, slash like just basically like rebuilds or new builds. And it seems like things are falling through the cracks on the bigger projects. And I'm wondering when anybody knew when to make the decision to hire project managers and stuff like that. Like we have 4 guys in the field plus me. And it seems like maybe I'm letting things fall through the cracks, and it's making us look like assholes to contractors. And I'm so busy that like when I'm trying to put out the fires, if you would, that I'm not doing it effectively. I don't know. We had kind of a small thing, but it was a really good contractor that has the potential to, I know they do a lot of business every year, and just some stupid things that just made us look like an asshole to them. And I'm trying to eliminate that, but I don't know if the solution is I get more involved or I find a better way to stop letting things fall through the cracks. If that's a project manager or put more pressure on the leads or just looking for advice on that.
Yeah, so just to make sure I really understand and everyone else really is. By the way, are you in your new building?
I am.
Dude, it looks great. Congrats, man. That's huge. It looks really nice. I could tell there's like what appears to be like new paint behind you. And so that's awesome. But the question,
there's gunshots in the building out front, so
well, I mean, you live in Nebraska, man.
Too, Jordan, so it's okay. We're right.
I was like, I was walking around looking at it, and I was like, oh, those are not holes, and those are gunshots in the building. Nice.
Yeah. When you said gunshot, I thought you heard gunshots, but you actually mean bullet holes are in the building.
Bullet holes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you're in the hood, maybe you're just in Omaha, Nebraska, and there's a good amount of people who really like hunting. I don't know. Anyway, so Jordan, the question as I understood it, and I'd really love to hear, I really want to hear from our clients more than us and our team answering this. I do have some ideas here, but I want to hear other insights because I know most people in here have probably ran into a problem like this, which is, hey, the company is growing. There's a lot on Jordan's plate. He's got a good sized team, right? They're running service and they're doing larger projects, and things are falling through the cracks after the project starts, right? So we're talking about project management. We're talking about operations. Jordan, it sounds like your first idea is to hire a project manager, but it doesn't sound like you're set on it. It sounds like you're wanting just feedback on how to solve this problem.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the books, like the money's coming in great, but like the process of like going out and winning over a contractor and becoming their go-to guy for like these remodel projects, it takes a lot of work. And then when the guys it seems like simple things to me, and it's just things like, well, what about here? What about here? My phone's ringing all day about what color outlets to put in. And it's just like, it's not that it's below me, but it's like, it seems like these would be questions that are figured out in other ways other than, it just seems like my phone's blowing up all the time about stupid questions, And
all
then
right,
at
guys,
the end of the day, it's still falling through the cracks.
By the way, the outlet question, the answer is eggshell is the color you always go with. But what do we got for him, guys? Who has some insights? Who's been through something like this before that wants to share? Hector, what's up, buddy?
Hey, that's what I was sharing with y'all earlier. Those are the same things that I was dealing with. My phone blowing up all day. Like what color is this wall? What color is that? And the ultimate decision I did was just hiring a field supervisor. I wouldn't call him a PM yet because he's not up to that grade to be a project manager. So I'm still a little involved in that, but definitely just kind of doing the tools, the materials, answering those silly, I think they're, like silly questions that take away time from focusing on the bigger things. That's definitely what helped me.
Ye-
So
So I'm going to start with giving some feed. Oh, yes,
And
Albuquerque.
how many people do you have in the field versus, for that person to manage?
well, we have 3 in-house employees, and then we have a team of subcontractors that are running around. And currently, we have 4 active projects. So he's just, going through all of them. But three of the employees are ours in-house, which is painters and drywallers, and then we sub out the rest, which is like granite and all that. Yeah.
So I saw that Aaron over at Albuquerque raised his hand, and I know that this is a problem that he's had to deal with as he's scaled up. Aaron, I would love to hear your insight, man.
So, same issues, right? You get calls for everything, right? Anything and everything and in between. And what I had to do was figure out what my hourly, what am I worth, right? What's my time worth? Calculate what's your rate, basically, right? What are you paying yourself? What are you the CEO? Are you the president? What's your rate for that role? You figure out how much that is, and then anything below that, right? You calculate menial tasks, right? Answering the phone, answering these types of questions, project management, estimating, whatever it is, quality control, foreman, safety, production. Figure out those rates of what those tasks are, and anything that is less than what you're worth, delegate to somebody else. And then you're going to grow. You have to kind of, that's the way that I approached it, and it's working well. And that's what, and then kind of try to figure out how to implement processes, right? I mean, it sounds like if you're having the same repetitive questions, then maybe you might be able to sit down and or assign that person to kind of react to those types of issues, and then try to flip that and become more proactive, and try to implement and create some kind of whether it's a checklist or a process or a routine for your guys. But that's what I would say. That's what's helped me.
That's really, really good. I appreciate you sharing, Aaron. And I want to hear what Lance has to say. And then, something Aaron said was processes. There is a specific project management process, Jordan, I'd love to go over here. But Lance, what do you got?
I was gonna say, Jordan, I have a kind of different perspective. Like, my last solution is gonna be to hire somebody. Like that's like the absolute last thing I want to do is hire somebody. And so I've always thought of it like, the guys we have on our team, you have to wear a lot of hats, you have to do a lot of things, you have to be like a Navy SEAL, right? Like you got to be able to just pick it up and do everything. We're going to run as lean and mean as possible. And then when there's no other choice, we'll hire somebody. But as we've like scaled up and, projects become more complex and stuff like that, and it sounds like you guys are doing really great buying a building, and it sounds like you're growing and stuff. I guess I would say exhaust all resources on the planning and systems part on your end. I mean, are your systems, your planning, your processes, is all of that like as fine-tuned as it possibly could be? Because it may be actually like some sort of software project management tool that you may actually need that could help, because that's where a lot of these kinds of things get answered. Before someone goes into a project, they know what color this is, they know where this is going, and they're live updates in the field. I'm sure you probably have something like that, but like it seems like the systems and the processes have to become more finely tuned and more dialed in. And once that's completely exhausted, then you may need to hire somebody that can just be the direct before they go to you.
Right. And those systems and processes are not are not effectively in place. I mean, before it was just me, so it was like I could keep track of everything. And now I've got, now that it's kind of gotten pushed out to those guys, that's where the things are getting lost, are getting fallen through the cracks,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
We
I-
use a software, Jordan, that you can, basically it's a project management tool. So we have like the actual project, it's got the address, it's got the door lock code, it's got all the where to park and who to call if you have an emergency, all that stuff. But then also they can upload pictures. And then there's even like a chat function where people can break down and talk about just kind of I guess informally about the project without texting each other. So it's kept people off of their phones from texting each other. And it's not like Slack or something like that, but it is kind of a similar, Google product. But basically it's like things like that, like that's our go-to. Like somebody's calling me for something, it better be because like there's a fire, because it
Right.
should be in this project management tool.
So I completely agree with literally everything Lance just said, especially the hiring someone as a last resort. Jordan, buddy, I'm gonna mute you because I'm getting feedback. And so just a heads up in case you want to talk, I had to mute you real quick. So yeah, hiring someone being the last thing. So it always seems like it's a first instinct because it's like, I know there's someone out there that can probably solve this problem that I have, right? And I'm running 1,000,000 miles an hour and there's stuff going on all around me and I just want to get the quickest solution. But typically what I find is that if there is not some sort of already pre-established process or system in place, that even with someone who comes into the organization with the skill set that you're looking for, can kind of take advantage of that position. I've made that mistake numerous times, man. And you can ask the team at Redmond Growth. They're like asking me almost every week to hire someone. And because we're starting to need it more and more. But I'm really wanting to pump the brakes on that and say, no. I want to come up with more creative solutions if we can. So the first step, Jordan, would be saying, what we are doing is not working. I need a process. I absolutely believe in project management construction software. I think inevitably that's where you'll end up going and you're going to find a really good solution. However, there's this thing that's happening right now and you need help right now, right? So I like to think, okay, what's the lowest hanging fruit where with all the stuff I have going on in my day, I could add maybe just do something different for like an hour a week to start, and how big of a difference is that going to make? So that's where I want to start. Is the first thing is I would really encourage you to do is schedule a weekly project management meeting with all essential team members that are involved in these types of like either new construction or remodeling projects that you're talking about. So that's the first thing. It's just start there. Oh my gosh, an hour, Robert. You're asking me to set an hour meeting. I know you're not saying this, but typically the pushback I get is, I'm so busy I can't do a meeting. How much time are you spending a week with all those burning fire calls? Like, is that eating up more than an hour? Hell yeah, it is, right? And so it's like you're committing to be proactive for an hour. And the result is that you're saving all that time and you're eliminating a lot of those kinds of calls. So the thing is, I actually made this fairly recently, right? Because Jordan, I was beginning to experience the same problem as you with a remodeling company in Seattle. And so it's taking what we know really works at Redmond Growth, right? Which is a structure, a meeting schedule, and accountability, but it's orienting that towards specifically project management. This isn't an all staff meeting. This isn't a sales meeting. This is just a project management meeting. There's a few rules for this that it's like, these are immovable. You have to just mentally commit, deeply commit without wavering these few simple things. And as long as you can do these few simple things, your solution is going to get better and better and better. You're going to naturally arrive at better answers to this problem. It's gonna lead you to software. So here's how you do it. Here's how to start. Schedule a meeting. The meeting has to be the same time, at the same place, on the same day, every week. Everyone knows about it. It's in everyone's calendars, right? Oh, that might cost me a service call or whatever. Start at 7 a.m. on a Monday. Start at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. It doesn't matter. Just make it happen, but make sure it's consistent. Make sure there's no the word that's coming up for me is lethargy and like apathy. But make sure that there's not a certain make sure that you're really strict about, hey, we're having this meeting. It's going to be the same day, same place, same time. The reason why is because when people start to do meetings early on like this, it's kind of like, we don't do this. This is new. People don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable. Everyone, maybe including you at times, is going to look for a reason to schedule stuff over this, to reschedule the meeting, to begin to treat it with casualness. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Bryce. Yes. Yeah. Intention. You got to bring intention. How do you bring intention? You say, we start this project management meeting, same day, same place, same time. And we use the same agenda. Do a Google document like this to start, man. Nicole can literally make you a copy of the exact same one if you want. So as long as we have projects, this meeting is never skipped and it's never canceled. So when are we not doing this meeting? Whenever we're not doing projects, which will be never, right? So all project management. So you start with wins. You know, I really do believe in the corniness, the cheesiness of starting with positivity, right? Yeah, anyone that wants a copy with this, we can get you a copy. Start with wins, then start with burning fires. So here's what you start doing to train your team. As they begin calling you throughout the week to ask you stuff, you begin asking them, hey, why was this not brought up in our meeting? Why was this not addressed? Why was this not put on the burning fires? That's what that time is for, right? So you're gonna have to train the team to do this, right? You're gonna have to make sure they have access to this document too. Start with burning fires, then we move to the to-do list, right? We start the meeting reviewing the to-do list, which is updated weekly that you assigned the week before, and now all of a sudden there's all this accountability for people getting stuff done, right? And you can make this to-do list. I try to make the to-do list as with as few items as possible, so we're only doing what's really essential, nothing more, nothing less, right? You don't want to try to make every little thing a to-do item, and then people feel like there's this accountability for like stupid stuff, and you know, creates this weird culture. So only on essential items, right? So you start by saying, hey, let's review the to-do list. How did we do on the action items that were assigned the week before? And you're going through each team member. Hey, Don, did you finalize that schedule, right? Hey, Tyler, have you scheduled these subs for this project? Hey, Don, have you scheduled the electrical inspection, right? This is a literal example from my business, right? And so you're going through the to-do items, and you're going to get accountability. You're going to teach people how to get things done real quick just by doing that, right? And then you review active projects, right? You see, okay, for the week, for last week, the week before, what were we able to get done? We review each project. What were we able to get done on this project? And then something for longer term projects that I try to evaluate, and there's not a science behind this, but it's, hey, what percentage complete are we on this job? Because then that tells me, okay, where should we be at with building, where we should be at in progress, where are we getting stuck? Like I remember I was doing this meeting, and this guy that was working for me at the time, we had to let him go. This story will kind of tell you why. You know, 2 weeks before on this specific job, he said that we were 70% complete, right? 2 weeks later, I'm on the phone with him, and we're talking about the specific job, and I'm asking him about progress. And he's like, yeah, I think we're 65% complete. And he said that 2 weeks later. Then I'm able to address, hey, you told me 2 weeks ago we were 70%. Now you're saying 65%. Where's the disconnect? Again, you're building accountability, right? So we go through each project, we evaluate what we're accomplishing. We want to build a culture that's oriented towards getting projects done, a culture that's oriented to moving things forward, not a culture that's just looking up, showing up, and kind of doing stuff and then clocking in, clocking out. Right? We're a culture that measures how well we're getting stuff done and the progress that we're making. And then we go into the scheduling, right? And we review schedule. We ask a few questions. Has a schedule been made for the current phase of all active projects, right? Is the schedule set for this week and next week? Is it in the calendar? Is it shared with the right people? Does my team know where they're going to be? Have we set that with our contractors? Do they know where we're going to be? Have we communicated that? Have we sent them a calendar invite? However you do that. And then we do a quick billing review. And you wouldn't have to make this a part of your meeting with your team. You may not want to discuss this. We do this, right? And then you evaluate upcoming projects. What opportunities are in the pipeline that we need to begin talking about? So, Jordan, I'd really encourage you just to start here and to start being intentional. I really like that word. Start being intentional, not casual, about just beginning to plan projects and evaluate progress in a way that holds everyone accountable. And by starting here, this isn't the end all be all, man. This is a starting point, but it's a starting point that's going to continuously lead you to the answers that you need, right? And it's going to continuously improve the problem. Something else I do project management wise is like after we bid a project, we plan the whole thing out. And again, this is for primarily like a remodeler, right? But you could make this for literally any business. Where we say, okay, there's like certain consistent core labor activities that we see on every single job, right? So then we go through for this job, which of those core activities are we going to have to do? Then it's like, okay, we got to do demo, we got to do structural, plumbing, rough-in. We're not doing insulation. Yeah, we're going to have to do drywall. We're not doing flooring. Yeah, we're going to have to do painting. You're just going through and clicking the boxes, putting your budget, cost, sub crew. For sub/crew, this would just be the tech, right? Which tech is doing which activity. The next thing here is we have a core materials section. It's like these are all the most common materials that we see on literally every single remodel almost. So it's like, okay, which of these core materials, how much of that material we're using. Then we have like the actual installation materials, right? So it's not like the fixture stuff or like the core material stuff. It's like the stuff to put everything together, right? And then we go to like the luxury materials, so like, hey, which of these kind of materials are common but may not be included in every project. We go through and click here, and then you just go through, hey, what's the budget for that? How much is it going to cost? Which tech, which crew is responsible for it? When are we starting that specific activity? When does that exact specific activity need to be done? Does everyone involved in this know the schedule? And then any additional notes. So this would kind of be like one step closer towards software. This is basically what software does, right? This is like an entry point to getting better project management software. The main thing that I'm advocating for everyone is if there's a problem with a certain department, in this case, it's project management, be proactive by planning a meeting while we're getting all the personnel there and we're planning and we're preparing to make sure that everyone has what they need and knows what they need to be doing. And ideally that should eliminate the high volume of calls. So what Lance just said, important to hold our guys accountable for updates. This is a part of their job, just as important as anything else as they get paid to do. This is one of the hardest parts about creating a process, in my opinion. Jordan, I kind of talked for a while. Lance was talking earlier. Lance, I actually want to hear you talk more about this a little bit, but I want to check in with Jordan here real quick.
Yeah, I think processes are our biggest problem, like I've just been, things just happen so quickly, and what worked for me when it was just me isn't working now that we've got guys out in the field, and I guess I just kind of expected them to just pick up where I left off and take off with it, and it's not happening, you know? So I think this is
It will, and that will
scheduling out.
never happen, even if you find the most talented, best guy at that thing. And I promise you,
Yep, scheduling out time is important, I think, that I need to do.
yeah. The guy who can solve this problem in the way that you want, he already started his own business and he's competing with you, man. You can find someone who has this skill set, but you have to come in with a structure and accountability. People that solve problems on their own are called business owners. So, Lance, can you talk a little bit more to kind of finish us up for the day? I really like what you said here.
Thank you. So, you know, at the end of the day, the guy who can solve all this for you, he exists, like Robert's saying, but ultimately that guy is you know, and there's processes and systems that you can put in place that can solve all this for you, because at the end of the day, it's really easy. Like, we had this problem a couple of years ago. We had a person that was like an admin. She was kind of like running the company, but basically what happened was all the things I didn't want to do, I just kind of made her do. And that's not the answer. You know what I mean? Because that's really not the answer. The answer is, because if you, at the end of the day, she's going to do things her way, or they're going to do things their way to just not bother you. And so what ultimately needs to happen is things still need to be getting done on the project the way you would do them. And the only way that that's going to happen is by putting together processes and systems for people to follow as if you were really there. And so, you know, I would say start with the biggest kind of solutions and work your way down with systems and processes and solutions, and creating those things like one at a time. You know, start with the bigger things, work your way down and drilling it down, but also can't get ahead of yourself too much either with creating too many systems, too many processes right away. There's too many things to hold people accountable for, right? So it's like, we need this one thing and we're going to work on that. So if that one thing is a meeting, then we're going to do that until it becomes culture, you know, and that's going to take more than a couple of meetings. It's going to take months of that to happen, but you will see results. You will see results as you start to implement that thing and keeping people accountable about it. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, Bryce even said the words of our president, huge. That's huge. That's my best impression, guys. I'm sorry, I'm working
Huge. It's with a
on it.
Y.
Yeah,
Huge.
I should have known. Jordan knew how to do that better than me. I should have known. Man, really, really great stuff. The last thing I kind of want to leave you with as it relates to processes and systems, because that word's being said a lot. I said it a lot. And I kind of want to, it's almost like a word to say. At times I've thought of like, okay, I need processes and systems. That's the answer. But then it's like, when it comes to actually doing it, it's like, what does that mean? So here's what it means is all this. So I showed you like one solution, right? I showed you a type of solution. All it means is getting something down on, you know, a document, you know, like Aaron from Albuquerque said, a checklist. All it means is just starting somewhere to say, hey, how does this, when I think about solving this problem, how would I solve this problem? Just write it down and then just hold the team accountable to it, build accountability for yourself as an owner too with the team, and build from there. Even if you didn't use anything I just showed you, even if you took maybe one thing from what I just showed you and made it your own, I love that. The important thing is just starting somewhere. When we say about process, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a documented thing that we schedule a meeting, we let everyone know about it, and then we run it. Mm-hmm. That's a business process. Lance.
The last thing I was going to say, Jordan, sorry, is maybe there's somebody you trust. Maybe it's your wife, your business partner, your best guy in the field. Maybe take them out to lunch, sit down, and just talk through this issue with them and get their opinion. You know what I mean? Because they also are seeing things from a different perspective than you are, and might be good to just like flesh it out. You know, just let's just talk it all the way through. And here's the problem I'm having. What do you think we should do? You know, I felt like that could be really valuable too, also in making your best guy or somebody that you really trust feel valued in your organization.
100% agree. Key on someone you really trust. Don't do that with someone that you kind of know that. If you're on the fence about having that conversation with someone, just don't have the conversation with someone. You may be able to think like honestly, Jordan, I don't know anyone on your team if you have this trusted person, but like plan a meeting even with your own wife where it's just dedicated to solving this specific problem. Hey, here's what Redmond told me. Here's what Nicole told me. Here's what I think we should do. What do you think? Where should we start? Okay, let's do it. So, guys, great stuff today. Great stuff today. Appreciate all the feedback from everyone so much. Appreciate the honesty and the help that people are needing. And really appreciate everyone being open with sharing their experiences, man. This is so good. This is what it's all about. So, Nicole, I don't want to take this away from you. I know you prefer to do this with everyone, so I'm going to let you close everyone out.
Okay, we're gonna do a big 3, 2, 1. I know he's not true.
Okay, let me do it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We all say growth. We make it super cheesy, but it's a fun way to end the meeting, right? So I'm going to count down from 3. After I say 1, we all say growth. Unmute your mics. Everyone, unmute your mics. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Growth. All righty. Have a great week, guys. The rest of the week.